Good morning. Good Monday morning. Welcome to Meta Mondays. I am your host, Dr. Linda Williams Lockhart, and is so glad to have you to join in with me this morning. We're in the conclusion of John chapter 11. And today I want us to focus on this topic. What is your conclusion? What is your conclusion? We have gone through John chapter 11, the first verses 1 through 44. So we've covered 44 verses over this span of time. And today I want to ask you, what is your conclusion from the lessons that I've taught or the lessons that you've learned from John 11, verses 1 through 44? And let's delve into some of the things that we talked about. I'm going to give you just an overview, a conclusion, if you will. See, John chapter 11 reminds us that Jesus is not limited by time. He's not limited by circumstance, or he's not limited by human understanding. See, what appeared to be a delay when he didn't come when Lazarus was sick was actually a divine setup for God's glory. Through the death and resurrection of Lazarus, we learn powerful truths about faith, about hope, and the life-giving authority of Christ. First, let's look at the first point in this conclusion. That John chapter 11 teaches us that Jesus is present even in our pain. He enters into the grief of Mary and Martha, weeping with them and acknowledging their sorrow. And this assurance believers that faith does not eliminate tears, and trust in Jesus does not mean ignoring pain. No, it doesn't mean that. So I pray that you've learned that Jesus is present even in our pain. If you are experiencing pain of any sort, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, relational, financial, Jesus is present. He's present no matter the pain that we're experiencing. Second, we learn that Jesus is the resurrection and the life. Life is not merely something Jesus gives. It is who he is. Jesus is life. Even when your situation seems final, Jesus speaks with authority over death, over anything that we're experiencing, reminding us that nothing is beyond his power. I don't care what you are experiencing today. It's not beyond Jesus' power. Listen, Jesus was resurrected from the dead with all power. He rose with all power. So our situations, it's nothing for God. Our situation is just minimal for God. I know to us, our situations are huge, but not to God. It's not. Third, what John chapter 11 shows us that God's delays are purposeful. Jesus did not arrive when expected, yet he arrived right on time. You see, God often works beyond our timelines to reveal deeper faith and greater glory. How many of you feel like there are times in your life when Jesus showed up or that Jesus really didn't show up? But the delay doesn't mean that he doesn't show up. The delay means it's not his time to show up. And that's what we have to remember. See, we are in this microwave society that we want things at the push of a button. Click, 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 click. And then things are just supposed to be the way we want them. That's not how Jesus works. His timing is his timing. Regardless to what we believe, it's the right timing. And then the fourth thing, John chapter 11 teaches us that faith must be exercised even when understanding is limited. See, Martha believed, but her faith was tested. When Jesus asked for the stone to be removed, obedience often comes before explanation. When he tells us to do something, we just have to do it. No, but we want to come up like Martha. Well, you know, he's been dead for 4 days. He's already in the grave. He's stinking by now. No, when Jesus tells us to do something, it's just like Nike. Just do it. It may not make sense to us. It may not be what we want. It may not be like we want it. But when he tells us to do something, if we would just do it. Just do it. Has he told you to do something and you're not doing it yet? Hey, stop what you're doing right now and just do it. He tells you to get out of a relationship, get out of it. If he tells you not to make that purchase, don't make it. If he tells you to go back to school, go back to school. If he tells you to move from one job to another, move. Whatever Jesus is telling us to do, we got to do it. If we want the right outcome. I didn't say if you want your outcome. I said if you want the right outcome. When he tells us to do something, do it. And then finally, John chapter 11 reveals that resurrection leads to responsibility. See, Lazarus was called out of the tomb, but others were commanded to unbind him because God brings life. And he also invites the community of believers to participate in helping others walk in freedom. In other words, to sum it up, we need each other. Contrary to what you believe, we need each other. See, John chapter 11 calls believers to trust Jesus in loss, to believe him beyond delay, respond in obedience, and walk in the freedom that resurrection provides. We got to trust God, people. We got to trust him. And as I close out these series of lessons, John chapter 11 reminds us that Jesus is not rushed by our timelines. He's not shaken by our grief or limited by what looks final. He steps into our pain. He calls out of death. He calls life out of death and invites us to trust him even when we don't fully understand what he's doing. So what's your conclusion? See, whether you find yourself waiting, grieving, believing, or being called to come out of something that once held you, remember this. Resurrection is not something that Jesus does. It's who he is. He is the resurrection. You remember he told Martha that. And when he calls you out, he doesn't leave you bound. He brings life, freedom, and purpose. See, I want you to take a moment. And I want you to really ask yourself some questions. What stones needs to be rolled away in your life? What grave clothes need to come off? What's holding you back? What's holding you back from really trusting God? Only you can answer that question. What conclusion are you going to come to about Jesus being the resurrection? What conclusion are you going to come to with trusting God? What conclusion are you going to come to that God's delay is not a bad thing. What conclusion are you going to come to that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose? All things. What conclusion are you going to come to about these things? What conclusion do you really have about Jesus in your life? What's your conclusion? You can go back and look at all of these lessons, but the main lesson is, what's your conclusion? What are you going to do with Jesus now? What are you going to do with his resurrected power? What are you going to do with the stones that still have you, that you're still sealed behind? What's your conclusion about the grave clothes that you still choose to wear? What's your conclusion? Are you going to trust God in your conclusion? Are you going to believe God in your conclusion? What's your conclusion? And my prayer is that your conclusion is that you're going to trust God. Your conclusion is that you're no longer going to hide behind those stones. That your conclusion is that you're going to trust God. Your conclusion should be, I'm going to love God with all my heart. Your conclusion should be, I'm going to believe God. Your conclusion should be, I'm going to wait on God. What's your conclusion? What's your conclusion? What's your conclusion? And only you can make that determination of what is your conclusion. I thank God for you listening. I thank God for you tuning in each week. And if any of these videos have encouraged you, don't keep them to yourself. You can go to YouTube or on Facebook. You can like and share. Give me some comments. Give me some feedback on these videos. Because my goal is to encourage us to trust God, to believe God, and to love God. Thank you for being with me these weeks, and we will continue on teaching. And my prayer is that your conclusion, my prayer is in your conclusion, you would trust God. God bless you, and I pray that you have a super fantastic, great week. And until next Monday, may God continue to bless you. What's your conclusion?